eat into that. But they're 10 points on second, which is Chelsea, on who are on 43 points, and that's a pretty big lead. Now, when you look at a team like Man City, that's not something you want to be giving them. I don't feel like you need to be giving them a head start in football. And look, that was a big result against Arsenal. I think Arsenal, to their credit, had a very good performance. And Man City just did very typical Man City things. Key games.
It's the mark of champions. Just winning those games that you shouldn't win technically. Like, if you looked at the game, Arsenal, I think up until the penalty, City had 0 shots on target the whole game, and then they come out and now they've won it 2-1. It's just like that's literally what I grew up watching United do. Like there'll be teams that could play us off the park and we still go home with 3-0, and rivals are annoyed because they're like, oh, but you didn't even play that well, and you've just stolen it. Like it's just what champions do. They just get the wins in any way they can.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and going back to one of our previous shows about all these other European leagues, farmers leagues, this, that, and the other. We're barely into January, barely into 2022, and a lot of people kind of feel that the league is kind of being wrapped up by City, and they're just going to walk away with this. Is that really exciting at the end of the day? We're going to see another season perhaps like last.
The thing is, last year around this time, who was on top? United. So I think last year was very different because of the injuries that like everyone was going crazy with injuries. The different teams had lots of issues, and like the fact that City signing Diaz late, the whole COVID stoppage for them as well. I think with that it created an illusion that the Premier League was more open than it was. And then I feel like when City just got things back to normal, we're looking at it now. This is what City have done for the past. They've like 3-4 years, maybe since like Pep's like second or third season. That's literally what they've done every season. They've just brought things together and just gone ahead, and they're just set up so well to actually just go ahead and win trophies with basically a second starting 11 that's better than most top teams starting 11s. So it has to be like that.
Yeah, I think for me, you always find significant moments in a league title, or just moment in Premier League as a whole, that defines a team's season. And I feel like that Arsenal game was defining for Man City. I feel it was quite sort of appropriate in terms of who got the winner, and so given what happened to them, this weekend. But look, that's huge, and for me, I always felt, and we can go back to our original Premier League, the first Premier League review that we did, where I felt Man City it was going to be theirs. I must admit, I thought Liverpool would be close, and to be fair, Liverpool aren't too far away. And if there's one team who probably do it out of them and Chelsea, I think Liverpool are better equipped to mount a charge against City. But I always felt that they would drop off at AFCON. Well, we haven't even got to AFCON yet. We're a week away from that.
They've already dropped off, really.
Yeah, like that. The draw today with Chelsea, as much as it was entertaining, it served neither of them. The only winner of today was Man City. So Chelsea, when you look at their last few results, they had a couple of wins quickly, but for me it was kind of a case of they've lost a lot of points already. Too many draws. And I said this going away all the way back. I said it to the Chelsea fans. They got butthurt about it, but the reality is they were living off being fed by their fullbacks. I don't care how good these fullbacks are, and Reece James, Chilwell, or even if you want to say Alonso at the start of the season, they're good fullbacks, wing backs, but you cannot rely on them to win you a Premier League title when it comes to scoring goals. You need your forwards to do that. Like I think people have got football backwards these days, where they want all your defenders to score goals, and now you
and
want
create
all your
goals as well.
Yeah, but you want your strikers to do the defensive work, like make it make sense. I don't get this anymore.
With Chelsea, personally, I felt like the squad just still wasn't good enough. Like I called, because what Chelsea do is they rely on the new manager bounce to get them through a season, and it works. It's very effective. It got them 2 Champions Leagues. However, with this squad, obviously Tuchel's a great manager, but I've seen it with Tuchel twice already. When things start going wrong for him, they just steep off a cliff. Like if you saw his end at PSG, he wasn't even doing that badly at PSG, but it went off a cliff. And like what happened at Dortmund, it was like it literally, like, we've known him from what I've seen, he's just like, he's not able to get things back up when things go wrong. And like Chelsea in general, the whole environment of that club is, when things start to go wrong, you're off, you're out. So in general, I'm just like, this is just a recipe made for disaster. And I think that the new manager bounce has started to wear off. Injuries have started to calm, and you're seeing like the actual the real depth of their squad. And like it's really ironic, because half the players they sent on loan probably should have stayed, because they're all outperforming some of their actual players in their squad right now. Like, you've got Conor Gallagher, who's absolutely been amazing, and then now they have Saul on loan, who's been awful. He's been probably the worst player in Chelsea this season. So like, I think it's just what, and like the signings for Chelsea have not been good. I don't think they've had.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily.
I would say the forward signings haven't been good, because
it hasn't had the desired effect, is it? And I think that's something again, like this is where all the shows are starting to make sense when you connect it all together with the hot shots and flop. We talked about your big money signings, Romelu Lukaku. You spend £100 million on a striker, you should be expecting to be getting £100 million worth of player. He's had an injury, arguably, if you want to give him an out at a key point. But what's he really done? He bullied Arsenal. He bullied Arsenal when he wanted to prove a point. And we know that Romelu Lukaku is very good at proving people wrong when he wants to do it. And then when he's done it, he rests on his laurels, and then you don't see him again. Like, for me, I just nah.
But even that Arsenal game, it was against Pablo Mari. Where's he been since? Like, I think that might have been his last game for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And like, I think he went 10 games without a goal contribution. For any striker, that's bad.
Yeah.
Like this is the guy that's supposed to be a potentially world-class striker, one of the best strikers in Europe, if not the world. And you spend 100 million. I don't even blame them for spending 100 million, because you expect him to do, because what he did at Inter was worth 100 million. But he's come here and like he's proven, I can still play in Premier League, and now he's gone a bit lazy with it now. And you've seen what happened recently with his recent comments. He clearly just like doesn't have much care for the sport in general. If you're gonna do something like that,
I think we need to be. I think we should talk about that. I know with the Premier League review, but we're on Chelsea. Yeah. Chelsea are going through a tough period. This is when your big signings, your big players, senior players, if you want to call that, step up. And this guy's giving out interviews talking about romancing for Inter, because he's not quite getting 100% of what he wants. Well, you should be having those conversations with Tuchel privately, and by the looks of things, that has never happened. Now, what's the knock-on effect on there? You've got a quality striker unavailable in one of your biggest games. This is a game that Chelsea needed to grind out and win to stand a chance in competing with City, because it was already a tall order for them. And he's let his club down. He's effectively cost Chelsea points today. And look, I've seen other footballers like Paul Pogba get a lot more slander for less. And this is actually personally stuff that's come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Today, the only thing that's come out of his mouth is what in Tokyo, where he was saying, or Japan certainly, that he's thinking about perhaps a change, at the end of the season after when he was getting abused by fans, like we had.
Yeah.
That same summer, the same player that we just talked about, Lukaku, was on strike, refusing to go back to Man United.
Yep.
Releasing players
classified documents.
Yeah. Like data performance.
Yeah.
And you're like, or performance data even, but you're just like, this guy's a scumbag. I'm sorry, but when it comes to professionalism, no, I'm not having it. And I'm going to say the same thing about Harry Kane at the start of the season. That interview was nonsense. Like that was a dress rehearsal to sign for Man City. No. Sorry, but show some respect to your employer. And Lukaku, he needs to be dealt appropriately. And to be honest, knowing Chelsea, that's probably dealt with now. Like, look, him not playing that game is probably enough. But if he then wants to throw his toys out the pram, this is going to basically make or break Lukaku in terms of a Premier League player. Because if he's going to throw his toys out the pram, he's going to go back to Italy or do something else before he goes back to Manchester United. How can you go to Chelsea and be and not work out and claim that you're a top striker?
Yeah, I generally because in general I don't like Lukaku. I don't like him as a player. I've said like a player that can't take a first touch playing at top level football is kind of disgusting to me. And like the fact that he's now done it twice, where he's had these interviews and released his comments and done all the stuff, I genuinely think, first of all, Inter don't even want him back. They said, "Oh, we bought Dzeko and there's been no change." So they don't even want him back. So I don't even know why he's even putting out all these comments like they're going to take him back when he's higher wages and going to produce the same. He's going to cost them money and they're going to get the exact same output according to them. So and be like, this isn't a player I want in my team. Granted, you're gonna get your PSGs who are gonna always pay for whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like if clubs had integrity, which we can question some clubs, they should literally blackball him from the top flight of European football, because you can't multiple times go out and slander your club, because he didn't just say, "Oh, I'd rather play for Inter." He said he was going on saying things, "Oh, the three top clubs, Chelsea's not one of them." But I thought, okay, you can't really say that. You basically you're basically saying that your team is not really that great of a club to play for. And you're saying that, "Oh, I'd rather be somewhere else." Like I didn't really want to go. I don't really want to be here. Saying that he hates it in London, he'd rather be in Milan. Like, the danger of knowing that he's going to do that to your club, even from a financial point of view, because that's bad PR.
Yeah,
and bad PR is always gonna ruin you.
I think he's. I don't know who gave me advice to do that interview, but stupidity of the highest order. But good luck to his life. He's going to be earning lots of money in the meantime. So, Chelsea, they're a good team. They're a good team. Tuchel is a good manager. I know there's a lot of people who don't rate him long term and say what you saw of the Champions League is that it's going to start crumbling after. I think that's a bit disingenuous. Personally, I think he is a very good manager. Chelsea, good team. I genuinely think they'll probably do better in the Champions League. I actually think they'll probably do better in cups, if I'm being honest. I just think for league right now, it's just a different demand. And when those fixtures start coming thick and fast, and injuries start to happen, and
Mendy's gone,
people can harp on about injuries as much as they want. When Man United had injuries to our three best players at the time, was it 2-3 seasons back? Martial, Rashford, Pogba, all these players were out. Everyone was like, "Well, that's what squad's for." Well, okay, well that's the case for you. Just because Reece James is out You're Chelsea. You've got a squad. I couldn't care less. You know, you should be able to have that replacement there and then. If you don't, then all right, that's how the cookie crumbles.
And for someone that sends so many players on loan, buys so many apparent world-class players, spent so much money in the past how many years, brought through so many youth talents, you should have a good enough squad. The fact that how much have they spent on you've got Pulisic, you spent on Pulisic, Ziyech, Havertz, Werner, Lukaku, and like you can't do something. You can't get a goal out of these players. Like that's either bad. You either have to say that these players aren't very good, or you have to say the manager can't do it.
Yeah, but that's Chelsea, which we sort of covered off a bit. Like Liverpool, you know, they're still within a slight shout. And we say that like if they win their remaining game in hand, you know, they'll be 45 points, City 53. There could possibly be something there. But the fact is that they've got a busy period coming up. You know, they're going to lose Salah, they're going to lose Mane, Keita. You know, so there's a few people that's going to be out, and you know, and this is going to be for AFCON. And it's going to be a key time. So you know, again, the way that Liverpool play, you know, they really go toe to toe with every team. Every player does you know sing to the same hymn sheet, so to speak. I don't necessarily think that they'll lose many games. As I've always maintained, I feel they're going to just draw games. I think that punch that Salah's given this season, because this guy's on mad form. For me, he's arguably up there for player of the season, in my opinion. And even today, you just see it. You just give this biff, and he gets that goal.
He scored that goal, and he didn't even look like a surprise. He didn't celebrate. He didn't even celebrate. He literally just walked off like it's casual. Like I think he just knows like is his at this point, and he can make and do what he wants with it. But however, AFCON will be a big thing, because not just the fact he won't be there, there is the possibility of him getting injured, because I'm not going to lie, they're going to batter him. Because they're going to literally be out to basically injure Salah, because they want to win AFCON. Like I'm not going to be surprised if you see like a Senegal game versus Egypt, and then Mane does a mad slide tackle on Salah. Like I'm not going to be surprised, and like that's going to be the big danger, because if Salah is out, Mane's games are really odd, because he either has a really good game or he has a really bad game, so you really don't know what you're going to get with him. Jota's been quite consistent, but he always misses a lot of sitters. There's no one with the consistency in scoring and assisting in that team that Salah has, and if he's gone, then I don't really know what's going to happen. Keita's he doesn't matter. He's not even going to play at this point.
So Sam, are we saying that Man City's title to lose now?
Yeah. I don't think they're going to lose it. Like, I don't even see them losing a game until the end of the season.
Yeah. So Chelsea, Liverpool, second and third, or do you feel that there could be more declines from either club?
Oh, it's over for Chelsea. As in, like, they're gonna drop.
Or is it? Okay. Well, let's hold up four. I'm just going to go to the comments here, where, well, M9 Chuck is saying that he's never. I'm assuming this is Romelu Lukaku at this point. He's never an elite Premier League player. So that's well. To be fair, as I said, if you go to Manchester United and you go to Chelsea and you're not smashing it, then are you? I'd rather bring Roger back and play him over Lukaku. So cool, maybe further punishment in some fans' eyes. But look, we really need to kind of have a real chat about top four, because there's a few teams, and by the sound of things, you feel like Chelsea's going to perhaps fall into this top four battle. You know, if we throw in Chelsea, you've then got the likes of Arsenal, who going back to our Arteta show, I did say, and I did feel that this could be the team that finishes fourth. West Ham, you know, they've had a little upsurge again. Spurs and Man United sort of lagging in at seventh, but with a few games in hand. So just Sam, from you, who is your top four? Who is your top four?
So my top four is City, Liverpool, Tottenham, United, and I think
Tottenham.
United will scrape it on the last day, like they did 2 years ago. They're
So
gonna
what make
scrape
okay.
it.
Okay, so we from our last Premier League review, Conte has been the big thing for Spurs and a big thing for the Premier League. This is a former champion manager, if you want to call it that. He's got a Premier League with Chelsea. What makes you think that Spurs are gonna come good and not be the usual sort of Spursy approach? Because look, Mourinho's tried, nothing happened. Nuno was in, nothing happened. So what makes you think all of a sudden that's just going to change with these same set of players?
With Mourinho, he would have done it this season. He would have definitely gone top four this season. I think we all know the whole situation of him being sacked, and like apparently if he won the Carabao Cup, it would cost like an extra 15 million to sack him, and then that's going to be that whole debacle, which I think he was actually on his way because Spurs were developing something under Jose. They were actually developing something very, very good, and they were actually able to play like, it may not be the prettiest football, but it was definitely efficient and effective, and they were able to get quite far in games, and they were able to score a lot of goals. Especially the Kane and Son connection was immense, genuinely immense, and I genuinely think Kane would have probably stayed. He would have not had his he's part of not really wanting to play and basically like down in tools, and I think he would have actually started off the season a lot better than he would have otherwise. But I think Conte's come in, he's changed the team. Conte just improves players, and he knows how to get the best out of very mediocre players. If Victor Moses can win a Premier League, then I'm pretty sure that like within 1 or 2 seasons we'll probably see Spurs challenging for a title. I think they're doing something quite amazing. I think he's going to take them places if Levy allows him to, which is always the case basically.
Yeah. No, I think for me, the ego, the white side of North London. I'm going to go the red side of North London. I think it's Arteta. I think when you look at what he's trying to do, and you look at with the players that he's doing it with, because I don't really feel Arsenal got a particularly big squad on. Okay, they haven't got Europe to contend with, but so that could be a factor in terms of trying to keep players fresh or fresher. But he just seems to have a plan, and I think there's too much hate at times when it comes to these. Well, if you want to call these legends, I'm not sure I can say Arteta is a legend of Arsenal, but he's a former player. But you can see that he's quite pragmatic. He doesn't like to concede much. He generally has a plan. Like usually, if Arsenal lose, it's because of a bad mistake.
Yeah.
At this point, I've never really seen Arteta gone, you've been outclassed tactically. Like it's very rarely have I seen that. And that's one thing I spotted with him quite early on when Arsenal played Man United. I was like, actually, like it's got some tactics here. And
in the 1-0 last season.
It's quite a few games to be fair. Like it's only just until recently, and that was under Carrick that we've actually had some presence. But no, it just kind of has a feel about it that it's sort of plodding along. I think since January they've really kicked on. So I think their points tally in 2021 was actually really decent. I think
it was the most of any Premier League team.
Well, I'm not sure it was the most, but it was
up there. It was up there.
They didn't represent what was an 8th place team.
Yeah.
And he's got youth players, contributing to it. Saka is starting to be a bit more consistent in terms of the output and goals. Martinelli is coming in at a good time when Aubameyang is not. I don't think Martinelli is the answer. I think he's a quality player, but I just feel he gets injured too many times to be dependable on. And I think that's where Arsenal may struggle next season when because they will be in Europe. I have no doubts about it. But then when they'll be in Europe, and they'll do the Arsenal thing. They always play these youth players in like whether it be Europa League or Conference League. But if it's Champions League, then you're going to be playing the same starting 11, and then that same starting 11 is going to be playing 50, 60 games, and that takes its toll. It will take its toll eventually. But I think for this season, they just feel a bit more steelier than Spurs and Man United. I just don't. I think even with the Conte effect, I think Spurs won't lose many games. I just don't think they'll win as many as they should for what's required to get into the top four. It'll be close. You're probably only looking at perhaps a difference of maybe like 5 points. But these are the fine margins. I just don't have any faith in Spurs as a club. I think when the pressure's on, they always crumble. They really do, and I don't think Conte can do anything to change that yet. I think once he's got a good transfer window under his belt, then you'll see those changes, and they will definitely be more competitive next year. That is if Levy even backs him. He might be gone at that point.
with Arsenal for me, I've said it multiple times. Said it in the show. I've said it before in different shows. Like, they play well, but they still have like at some point you can't hope that the same 11 is going to stay fit. It's just unrealistic. And when you start to go to the squad, then you're going to have to now bring in those players that on what Arsenal is about right now and aren't those consistent players. And then you're going to get also like, it's like you have certain players that just aren't going to play well no matter what. Like Pablo Mari is not going to have a good game. You cannot force that out of him. There's no amount of coaching that can just compensate for how bad he is. And I feel like they're going to have to at some point use that squad, which is one issue that I don't think they'll be able to fully get past. And I think they're going to enter another issue, which Wenger also had, that they play well, but they don't play smart. We saw it against City. Like people say, oh, it's the ref's fault. Like, yeah, there were some bad ref calls, but every game there's always bad ref calls. However, Arsenal also did it to themselves. Like, there is no logical reason for why Gabriel was going to stamp on the penalty spot. There is no logical reason. There is VAR. They can easily see, like, everyone is watching you do that. The fact that he wasn't sneaky about it, and like there's still a naive squad. We even saw it against like a good example of a naive squad is what we saw with Ajax and United in the Europa League final. It wasn't like it's just a bit of that. They don't have that, like the dirty tactics, like the dark arts. They just don't quite have that to actually be able to fully make it there.
I think for me that when you look at the other guys, so West Ham and Man United, and actually it's quite interesting. We talk about those two clubs. We've actually got a caller on. I'm gonna quiz the callers coming in on this one. But West Ham and Man United, like West Ham, I feel they're a good team. Moyes has done a brilliant job.
Yeah,
they're not going to be top four in my opinion. I think it's just too much. They've got Europa League still, and to be honest, there's a part of me, if I take away any bias, I kind of want them to be on a cup run. I want to see them do something big in Europe. Get to a semi-final of Europe. I think that'd be awesome. Their first European season for God knows how many years. I kind of want to see that. Man United, I'm just going to be honest, and maybe it's perhaps me trying to be over the top because it's my team. They're just too crap defensively. They just don't do enough. I don't think Ralph can change enough from their mentality to really push into that top four. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be same as Spurs, but I think the mentality is just crap. And I think the difference between Spurs and Man United is that their mentalities are weak. I look at Arsenal; they've got one player that's weak, and he's already gone.
Yeah, he's living in this country.
Now, I've got Abs from Shed and Shotters. So, Abs, brilliant. Thank you for coming on. On the subject of West Ham and Man United, because knowing your background's being a Chelsea fan, this is quite close to home at this point. Jesse Lingard recently posted a nice little memory pic of his West Ham days. Do you think that's a bit disrespectful? Because for me, I don't see what's the point. Why are you doing that? You definitely trying to get out of Manchester United. I can understand that he wants to play more football, but aren't there perhaps more subtle ways of doing this? We've just talked about Lukaku earlier on the show, so it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on the Lingard side of things. As a fan, would that piss you off seeing that?
Well, obviously, thanks for having me on, Jinky, and great to be back. But you see, with Lingard, obviously, we've had our problems with Ramel recently, but you see what it is with Lingard. I think that personally, I think that when you're at a certain club, especially if they're a club in the same league, because if you're from like a different league, if you're playing, I don't know, it's circumstantial, because West Ham and Man United are both in the same league and they're both trying to go for the same spot. I think, I think it's a bit out of line, to be honest, because Lingard is, at the end of the day, he's an employee of Manchester United. It's not, people talk 100%. About this of like, they're players, we should love them. They work for the club. It's their job. They get paid hundreds of bags a week to do this. So he has to conduct himself in a way where he has to respect the club and, fall in line with the club's policy and stuff, and make sure that, he's fully committed to the cause. And if he's not committed, that's fine. Just don't say anything in public, because once you start bringing things to the public, and, I think Man United have been famous for this. I don't think they're very good at keeping secrets. Most of the things that happen inside are pretty much for everyone.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I think Lingard should just, he should just try to keep quiet a bit. Have a bit, put on a group chat and stuff. Talk about, I missed them times at West Ham when we was dancing and doing the flute dance and all that. But in the public eye, just there's a level of not professionalism, but more like I don't know, self-respect maybe, or just respect. Yeah. That's how I do it, at least.
Do you think ultimately, like, is your opinion the same then with Lukaku? Do you think Lukaku has been a victim of clever journalism, getting those questions in where he wants to be diplomatic, or do you think this is just a dumb stunt because he is not getting his way at Chelsea? He's not necessarily starting all the games, and he's just throwing his toys out the pram? Because look, he's got form. We've seen this at Manchester United, and it's not something that's open to interpretation. This guy's Leeds. This guy's gone on strike. Are we seeing the same behaviours perhaps?
Yeah, well, Lukaku is a very outspoken person. He, I don't think it's probably why he's been at about 2,000 clubs for his entire career. But for me, any man who comes and disrespects the manager of my football club, I don't care if you are prime Lionel Messi or Ronaldinho. If you do that, you can go. And there's no two ways about it. Because there's no football bigger than the club. If Lukaku played for Shrewsbury Town and he's won more trophies than Shrewsbury Town, he probably has, to be honest, and he's won more major trophies than Shrewsbury Town is still bigger than him, because you cannot disrespect an institution. And there's been loads of times where players have done this and they've been moved on. Who is it? Yap Stam did it in 2001, I think, and then Fergie said, "All right, goodbye, off you go." David Beckham, he thought he was bigger than the club. He thought he was the shit, and he got moved on. That's how it is. I don't care how much money we paid for you. To be honest, I always wanted Harden, but it's not about that. I was going to back him. I backed him from the start. But you can go.
Of course you can. Yeah, of course. £100 million. Of course you're going to back him. If anything, definitely. You're thinking, he's just won a title at Inter. You're thinking, hey, this is our chance. This is our chance. But I'll tell you what, that little passionate speech there, whoever, if we can clip that, because we need, honest to God, I feel we need more fans like this these days, because I feel like it's going the other way, and you've gotten this whole Players FC, and you've got this little weird following with all the fanboys and this, that, and the other. And kind of just dismissing the club. So, no, you don't. You're not bigger than the club. It's as simple as. So no, I love that. I love that.
There's no agendas here, man. The only player I'll ever have an agenda for is Drogba, but that's because Drogba did things for my football club that no one else has done for mine, and for me personally. But you see, with Lukaku. First of all, it's not like when Costa started coming out saying, "Oh, I want to go China," and Costa had won us league titles and was the best striker in the league with Aguero at the time. He's done nothing for us. He's done nothing. He stunk out the place against Liverpool. He stunk out the place against City. He's been useless in loads of games this season. He's just been a big lump up front, not really done much. He scored a couple of goals here and there. It's not his fault, but I'm sorry, man. If you're going to start disrespecting my club, then you can bounce. I don't care who you are.
100%.
And there's one thing in football that I find it so weird that we don't like. It doesn't happen anymore in 2020, in 2021 or 2022 now. Actually, is buying players that actually want to play for your club. Because I would the fact that he's saying he didn't want to go there, I would have never bought him. I'd have never bought him. The fact that he and thing is, his track record also shows that he doesn't actually respect any clubs. Obviously, he's a former Mino client, and with his Mino clients, they all have their own way of being a bit outspoken and being a bit rude. But I feel like if you're gonna if a player truly wants to come and play for your club, he would never come out and say that. And I feel like, and the only time I've seen that happen recently is Kane. But I think Kane's situation is very, very different from Lukaku, because Kane has tried and has done a lot for the club. Lukaku has been there twice. The first time, I'm pretty sure he's only just passed his goal to tally for the first time he was there. So I don't think he has anything to really talk about how oh, I'm this big player. Like, you've literally barely done worse than what you did when you were a teenager.
Am I right in saying that Tammy's had a more potent season this season?
Yes. Tammy Abraham has done more.
Yeah, and but then again, this isn't. You can't run this agenda of bring Tammy back, because this
it's not about.
We can. We can.
He's a walking ballerina. It's the slip and slide show with him. My God, that's just it, though. For me personally, there's loads of top players who I think would kill to play for a top club in Europe, and I don't think they really care. Obviously, everyone has their dreams of playing for Barca or Madrid or Bayern Munich or someone like that. But at the end of the day, right, I know there's a lack of world-class strikers, even though I don't think Lukaku or Kane, for that matter, I don't think they're world-class, but that's a combo for another day. But if you're talking about elite strikers like Lewandowski or Benzema, Luis Suarez, there's still quite a few of them up and coming. There's a few experienced, who come do a job, who do a better job for us. So as far as I'm concerned, you're dispensable, because you're very easily replaceable.
It'd be cheaper as well.
Just a quick one, because I want to really get into the relegation side of things. Who is your top four? Because I'm really interested to see what that would be.
In no particular order, it's Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and it's that fourth team. It's one of two, to be honest, because I really don't, and I don't like either one of them. I'm probably gonna have to say Arsenal, because Arsenal have been playing some good football recently, and they seem like one of the teams that's going to be the more consistent out of the teams going for the top four.
Yeah. No, that's really good. We've actually got another caller on, and guys, before we continue, make sure you share, like, and subscribe. Please look at the description below. You've got the StreamYard links to call in. You've got Abs on. We've got another caller coming on. Have your say. This is a fan interaction show. So, Premier League, you're clearly watching it. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about your particular club? So the caller that's coming is Arjun. So Arjun, thank you for coming in. How are you, bro?
Hi, Jinky. What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, so my top four is going to be different. Like, it's going to be Man City, United, Arsenal, and West Ham. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with Liverpool, Chelsea falling out of the top four, because they can bottle up. As you see, the fixtures are tight and people are losing.
Arjun, let me stop you there. Can I just go for that top four?
I said Man City, Manchester United, West Ham, and Arsenal.
City, United, or West Ham and Arsenal.
Like, okay, abs. Oh, Arjan, if you got us on YouTube or like something like that, there's a bit of backlog.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
What do you ask?
We can hear you twice.
Something.
Are we on loudspeaker or something?
Is it fixed now?
Try it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think what we might need to do is every so often, if you just go on mute, and then when we call you, you can unmute, and then we'll try to be quiet in the background.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
So Arjun just come on, and so City, United, West Ham, Arsenal. I think Abs, like the Chelsea fan. I think do you want to? What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's not happening. No way, it's not happening. We're not as bad as we've been recently, and obviously with that guy at left back, I won't even say his name. He wears the fact. You know what the worst bit is? It's the fact that he wears the shirt of the best left back to ever play football. That's the criminal offence. But even if we've got him there, and we've been in bad form recently, which isn't solely down to injuries and COVID. I'm not gonna pull that. There's more reason behind it. No, we're not dropping that.
So he's not agreeing. Arjun, we're not good. We're not going to agree there. And I feel like we could probably go back to this one. But with the segment that we're doing is relegation. So what? Who are your favourites for relegation at this point?
I'd say obviously Norwich. They're going down because they're the yo-yo club. Who else? Newcastle, because I don't care if they've got 500 M's in cash to spend on players. They what's it called? Their team is still not that good. And do you know what was at the start of the season? I said Southampton because I just see them as one of those teams where because towards the end of the season they always have this terrible run of form where they just lose 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row. But they've been playing good football so far this season. So I'm gonna say, just because I want it to happen, I'm gonna say Burnley, Newcastle, and Norwich.
Arjun, what about you then? What about you? Because that top four was very unique. Oh, Arjun, can you just come out of your YouTube? So I feel like you're watching YouTube as well as being on StreamYard.
No, I'm only on the StreamYard. I didn't open the YouTube.
Are we on speaker then?
Yeah, I put it on speaker because of the mic problem.
Right. Okay.
I would have to agree with Abs because that relegation thing is sorted because Norwich is anyway going down, and I think Newcastle will follow. Being the richest club in Championship. And and obviously Burnley will follow because Burnley, Sean Dyche, I hate that guy. I see him, I just went like, nah, man. His team always fucks me up in FIFA. Every time I play Burnley, they are just beating me. So yeah, that's my top relegation battle.
Cool, brilliant. You want to go on mute now?
I was gonna say on my relegation, I don't think any of you guys won't agree with this, but I'll keep the team the same: Norwich, Newcastle. I want Watford to get relegated. In light of recent events, I'm desperate for them to be relegated hard because granted, one player is basically holding their team up. The actual team doesn't actually play well. Yeah. There's one player that scored, I think, like 60% of the goal contributions have come from him. Like, they don't score that much apart from against United. They're very leaky defensively. They're actually not very good as a team. And I think Burnley, and people forget, Burnley have games in hand. They might be in the relegation zone, but they've got a few games in hand from having games cancelled. Yeah. And knowing Burnley and Sean Dyche, especially against certain top teams, he's gonna stink out 1-0s, get the 1-0s, and slowly climb his way back up. And I always think we need a team like Burnley in it like that. Just Burnley's like that. It's like what Stoke was. Who remembers when Stoke were that team that was just like hard hitting, typical like were going to just batter you. I feel like that is what the Premier League always needs for me.
Yeah, I think. Well, first of all, thanks, Sargent, for your call today on your top four and relegation. I think that's a very interesting pairing that you got there. But I think from my point of view, in terms of relegation, yeah, I think Norwich is definitely a dead cert. I think it was a dead cert perhaps in August. To be honest, I think it was a dead cert when he sold Emi Buendia. But moving on, I do fear for Newcastle. You know, we did a show about, you know, when the takeover, you know, happened, and we thought that they probably would have been in a better place, but I cannot see how on earth they're going to be able to drum up some play. It's going to have to be loans. They can't just buy people on big money unless there's going to be some kind of weird release clause if they get relegated. I just cannot see why a top player would go there at this moment in time.
They made the mistake of when they first came in, the new owners, the first thing they did after sacking Steve Bruce is that they should have brought in Sam Allardyce to keep them up. First thing, they like this, the master of keeping teams up. You keep him for the rest of the season, then you sack him.
Well, like West Brom. Well, like West Brom.
West Brom did it too late. By then, the damage was far done. West Brom were down, so we're like something like 10, 15 points off our being out of relegation. They were not like
this is a team that's only a point ahead of Norwich. I don't think people realize how bad it is. Like
no. I think back then when they first sacked Allardyce, they had time to recover. Now they don't. It's gone now. They don't have any time to recover. And you got Eddie Howe, who plays good football, but the guy's literally, his CV is a relegation in top flight football. All he's known in top flight football is a relegation.
Come on, Sam. It's not all he's known, is it? He's taken Bournemouth to sort of mid-table, hasn't it?
Yeah. Okay. He's done 2 promotions, maybe a mid-table season, but
he's done 2. Sam, come on. Like Bournemouth for the size of their club, which is tiny in the grand scheme of football, they've maintained Premier League status for a long while. They've effectively done similar to what Burnley have done. Yeah,
but it's not like it's different. Yeah, I understand. Like Eddie Howe's done a lot for Bournemouth, but like the guy, he's not the guy that you bring in to keep you up. He's the guy you bring in as like Eddie Howe for me would have suited Southampton. I think he'll do very well in Southampton, and with Saudis football, I don't think he's the guy made for a relegation battle personally. I think that's not the style of manager he is, and I don't think he'll be able to keep them up because too much damage has been done, and the team is god awful now.
I think for me the other candidate, I don't think Burnley will. I think Burnley it has been a poor season by their standards. Yeah. I just think Watford, for me, they had that really good start, got lots of goals, and you could argue it's the manager bounce, but I just don't think they've got enough in the locker. I think they've got some good individual players. I like Dennis. I like what he's about. Kind of going beyond that team, I'm struggling. I'm struggling, and I don't trust Ranieri to be the one. I think when things are good, Ranieri's great.
Yeah.
When things start to get tough, you start to see something else in him, and I don't think he's all that. So what about you in terms of Watford?
No, I like Watford. I think they've been playing some good stuff this season. Obviously, Dennis, Josh King's been good for them. Who else? I know Danny Rose has had a couple shaky games, but he's actually been quite consistent for them in the games where they're not so much supposed to win, but the games where they have more of a fighting chance.
Yeah.
And Andre Gray as well. So I don't think Watford might go down, but this is one team that I'd love to go down. It's because of a lot of their fans, even though some of them are calm. One team who I see kind of going down, it's probably because of the second season syndrome. It's Leeds. And they might
hope and pray.
Yeah, in their defense though, they have had loads of injuries and they've had to play 10 games as a striker.
They have. When you look at Leeds are a team that have to have that first 11. I don't think they've really got a squad that is as good as the starting. They lost Bamford. As much as people perhaps laugh at his conversion rate, he does get goals, and goals get you points.
Yeah.
So it helps contribute anyway. So they've lost him. When their midfield has literally been ripped apart. Do you know what I mean? So once that's probably like 50% of their starting 11 is probably missing, and it's been probably missing for a good whole season, if anything. Not that look, I've got my bias here. I'm prepared to accept it, but I do hope that they just go back down because they get far too much credit when it's not really deserved.
Yeah. This whole thing of Leeds play such good football, not knowing how to defend to me is not good football. I will never accept that as good football. I've seen teams that might be worse on paper, like for example Brighton, that the teams aren't that much different. Like but when everyone's fully fit, the teams aren't that much different in quality. And Brighton have also had a lot of injuries as well, as they always do.
Yeah,
and they've managed to defend well and get wins against clubs that probably they shouldn't have. So why is it so? And apparently Bielsa is supposed to be this manager that's been managing for 40 years. He's been in the business for how long, and he can't seem to defend well, and now he's even lost his main ability, which was to be able to outscore opponents. So like I would love to see Leeds go down, especially because I've got my biases, because I hate Leeds. I hate a lot of players in Leeds. I was actually upset for Dan James to go to Leeds, because I don't want to hate him, but
you're lying. You're celebrating. You're celebrating.
No.
You're getting your Ronaldo 7 shirts at that point.
I hope Leeds go down, but they won't go down. But I really hope Watford go down for what they've done to Emmanuel Dennis and Ismail Assar. I think that's, for me, that is just what has annoyed me so much, that they deserve to just be relegated, lose all their players, and just go down to like League One. I wanted things to go real bad for them because of that.
And speaking of which, of Dennis and Sarr, do you want to talk about next week's show? Just as a little teaser.
Yes. So next week's show is our AFCON special. As AFCON will be starting, we're going to talk about everything from who's going to win, dark horses, the controversy surrounding AFCON. Because you might not have known this, but even trying to even get this tournament to happen has been a major struggle, and also talk about how certain teams and certain managers, with Klopp's comments on a little tournament, and see how and just overall view on AFCON and African football, just to see we're just gonna go through all of it, see who's gonna be the big stars, who's gonna be the big flops. I'm looking at a certain guy from Liverpool that might flop again. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great show. Come in, have your say, have good fun. Make sure to watch AFCON, because it's going to be on Sky Sports. It's going to be a great tournament to watch.
Yeah, and I think actually the point about the way that the narrative is when it comes to this tournament, I think that's something actually is really good to talk about, because again, the whole point of the show is an uncomfortable truth, and let's talk about that. Let's absolutely talk about it for what is actually going to be a brilliant tournament. There's some big players playing in this, so looking forward to that. As I'm going to really put you on the spot, Shedding Shotters, do you want to talk about that and do a little promo yourself?
Yeah. So obviously it's it started off as a bit of a channel focused mainly on Chelsea. But we're trying to, as me and my co-host Daniel Wilkinson. You can find both our ats on our main at here. So you can find my personal one and his at there. But basically what we do is we cover most things Chelsea. We do previews, reviews, bring transfer news in. I don't think we've done a watch along yet, which is calm because we've been dead, so I wouldn't have enjoyed them.
Be a lot of swearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's about. I might even, we'll try bringing a few things here and there, because we're both NBA fans in there as well. Because otherwise, we're not trying to make it just one of these fan channels which is so focused on one type of thing. Trying to expand on to other things, like boxing, MMA, NBA, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And if I have a bit of time, because I've got my own personal interest in AFCON, we might do a couple AFCON shows as well.
Excellent, cool. Yeah, so guys, just with a couple of minutes here, so quick fire sort of comments on this one. Who's been your biggest surprise in terms of a team this season, and who's been the biggest letdown or flop? And I'm talking about the actual teams, clubs.
Crystal Palace.
Biggest surprise?
Yeah. Uncle Paddy has got them playing ball. You see my guy Conor Gallagher moving like a young region of Frank Lampard. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Okay, biggest letdown? Biggest letdown? Biggest
letdown? That's a hard one, you know. As in a player or a team?
Team. We're just keeping it to the teams,
Team, easy. Manchester United. I expect them to be.
Biggest surprise. I was gonna say Brighton, but Brighton aren't a surprise to me. If anyone knows, I say biggest surprise. Yeah, also Crystal Palace. I wasn't expecting them to do this well. They've done extremely well. They defend well. They need to get the scoring right, and they'll be sorted. For biggest letdown for me, Chelsea, because they did say that they were going to challenge for the Premier League, and to me, it looks like they're not even going to make top 4. So
Sam, that's a mad quick fire question. Like crikey, one word, man, one word. I know you got the Chelsea hate. I'm gonna say Palace. I've been swayed by your comments, and Leicester biggest letdown for me this season.
That's a good shout.
But guys, I think we'll wrap that up for today. Abs, thank you so much for coming on. It's been brilliant. Great comments as always. Sam, really looking forward to AFCON next week. And guys, as I said, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Follow in the ministry socials on Instagram and Twitter. Don't forget, got Jinky itself and Doctor Who Sam 7 on Instagram. So don't forget to follow them. And guys, we will see you next week.